The tippity top of the online business realm, the 7 and 8 figure guys that are actually making it, care the most about this one thing. And it's not just them, it's every single person on this earth needs to care about this one thing if they want to maximize and tap into their true potential. And this one thing is understanding, applying, and automating our health. More specifically, understanding what's going on inside the body with our gut, with our blood work, with our muscular systems, with our mobility. As much information as we can gather, we need to understand it. Society today does this in very different sectors. If you have back pain, your trainer and your physiotherapist aren't going to communicate and pinpoint the cause, specification, or the true understanding of where that back pain is originating from. That's left up to us. And because that's the case, a lot of people misunderstand health incorrectly. Look at how many teens are abusing steroids at an early age because they don't understand the consequences, or how many people get shin splints because they're running in the wrong ways. Knowledge in health is distributed unevenly across the board, and this is a big problem. The second thing is the application. How does Brian Johnson and Andrew Huberman and what they're saying apply to your personalized persona? Speaking from personal experience, I had a lot of leg problems growing up, and so a lot of the advice and a lot of the details of putting into motion my health goals, if that was with basketball training or with going to the gym or with stability, didn't meet me where I was at. And in a lot of cases, this left me feeling hopeless about my situation. It was only until I understood where I was at personally and I started to apply it and meet myself where I am at, did I find success in health. Even if you find success in health, the last piece for most is one of the biggest needle movers, which is automating, getting rid of the tasks that health puts on our plate without necessarily having to do more work. This could be anything from hiring a chef to curate meals for ourselves, or finding an EA to book us in for our blood tests, or finding an EA to book us in for our blood testing, gut testing, and full synchrony. Luckily, OptiMobility solves this problem for 7, 8, and 9 figure founders, and they pay us a good amount of money to do that, because it is a problem that needs to be solved immediately. And what we'll notice in our day-to-day life is a lot of people and a lot of services will fall within these 3 pillars: understand, apply, and automate. You'll have companies like Superpower that focus solely on understanding the body's blood work, and that's their specialty. You'll have apps like Uber Eats that focus solely on automating, or made-to-go services that solely focus on automating when those 3 strings are tied together. Before that moment, it all kind of falls flat on its face, because without following that 3-step process, there's always going to be something for us to do. If we pay Superpower, or if we pay for Andrew Huberman's course or Brian Johnson's course, someone needs to put that work into motion. And the way that that motion is being put into work consists of what we have to do on a day-to-day basis to be healthy. So that's train, that's eat, that's take supplements, and that's recover properly. But everything that exists in health doesn't tackle the requirements on our end. There's no clear action items associated to how are we supposed to train given as much understanding that we can gather from the body. How are we supposed to train if we have imbalances? What does that look like on a day-to-day basis? What exercises should I be doing? What am I supposed to eat if I have parasites in my stomach, or blood work imbalances, or gut problems? What time am I supposed to go to bed? And how long am I supposed to sleep for? And what's affecting my quality of sleep currently? See, all these things are very good questions, and they need to be solved in order for all of these things like Andrew Huberman and Uber Eats and Superpower and all these tools that are available to humanity now can actually be put into motion in the right ways. We are used to convenience as humans. We can pick up our phones and get thousands of things done, if not make millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars off of this one thing. And that's the standard of products. The standard of products that we use the most is where we need to meet other aspects of the market and other aspects of business to that standard. And the truth is that understanding your health, applying your health, and automating your health are 3 very difficult problems that need to be solved collectively as a whole in order to find success with health. No one has time to cook based on their blood work and dissecting it and understanding it and then combining it with their training goals, other data that comes in, and their mobility. And understanding health is a whole subset in itself, with a lot of direct experience required, and doctors and credentials, and applying all this stuff and putting it into motion with high aspect training plans that needs to match the ease of use ability, while also being able to formulate meal plans that are able to communicate well and respond well to chefs. And then you also have to find a chef and train them up so that they can make the meals in a certain way. And all of these things exist as problems in our day-to-day lives that we are ignoring. The more that we ignore what our bodies are telling us in real time, the more ignorant we are being about gambling our lives away. Because in the future, we're not really concerned about the decisions that we make now, even though they do affect the decisions that we make now affect the future the most. And just because we haven't found the technology that streamlines this whole process in real time does not mean that our ignorance in today's realm is justified. But this ignorance is just because we don't know. We don't know what the difference is between eating a cookie to our stomach health versus eating a piece of carrot. Sure, you can go on and read and hear all these scientific people talking about scientific whatnot, but with your gut, with where your gut is at, with what balances and imbalances it has, if you have parasites or not, imbalanced blood work as well, that's going to affect how you respond to said carrot or said chocolate chip. And your response is going to be very indicative of where your digestive health is at. And once you get a good idea of where your digestive health is at, then, only then will you know what you need to take in terms of supplementing certain probiotics to balance out digestive health in a manner that gives it the ability to even process food properly. So it's less about nitpicking knowledge when it's convenient for us, and it's more about how can we be face value right now with where we're at with our health, using as much data as we possibly can to apply into personalized protocols and plans, so that way we can automate the things that are not worth our time and really focus and have solidity and science and understanding behind the things that we need to be doing, like training and eating food that is aligned with all those things. That's the concept of optimability. Those are the three core pillars. And over the past three years, official business registration for 3 years, moreover, for me personally, it's been over the past 8 years that this has been my mission. This has been my story because it saved me. Without doing that properly for myself, without understanding my limitations, I wouldn't be standing today. I wouldn't be walking. I wouldn't be running. And I just couldn't live like that. And knowing that there's this untapped potential in every single human being around the world that we can cultivate and we can bring into light and effectively reduce all forms of inflammation that are in the body that are holding everybody back. If your stomach is imbalanced and you don't know it because for whatever reason you're not that fine-tuned with your body, or maybe you do feel it, but you don't know what to do about it, that is holding you back. And that's reducing your lifespan, and that's reducing and restricting your maximum collegiate output, the maximum amount of output that you can generate on this earth. And that's a real thing. That's superhuman potential, because we're dealing with the finite limitations of the body, the meat suit, and everything that exists in it, because we are tasked with surviving with it. We have to live in harmony with our bodies, but we are not doing a good job at understanding the body well enough, as in our bodies, meeting it where it's at, putting the things that we need to do in motion, and automating the things that aren't worth our time. Because if we're not automating, and if we're not applying, and if we're not understanding properly, then we're skipping steps. You know, we've had offers before where we just install housekeeper chefs, and that gives people the wrong false impression. It makes them think that optimability is about food and convenience and eating, and it's just going to save me time so I can then spend into my own business more. But those types of clients don't realize that there's negligence that is being done by them for the convenience factor of the business. They're not putting into motion the things, and it's probably our fault. It's our fault that we haven't made it as easy as possible yet, but they're not putting into motion the things that they need to do internally to fix their body so that they can have that highest level of output. Because output isn't a factor of just time. Output is a factor of reduction of mental and physical constraints in business and with our bodies, while also having the time that comes with automating the things that we shouldn't be doing to put out more and more and more energy or value or whatever you want to call it. So it really is a specific process, the true importance of it. We've sacrificed offers and we've sacrificed collecting large amounts of cash to try and segment the service, try and segment it into just doing automating or just doing training plans or just doing all these little nitpicky things. But at the end of the day, it doesn't fall nearly as vital and as important and as life-changing as doing the whole service together. And it's cool because we've had the opportunity to raise, and we thought about it very, very, very extensively. And then we looked and we wrote down everything that we're doing. And we realized slowly but surely that it's not about tech. It's about streamlining and making the process so good that way, once it is tech enabled one day at that 10 million, 100 million plus mark, it can streamline and consolidate thousands of things for millions of people, if not billions of people across the world, so that they can find success with the things I talked about in this video without necessarily having to have a lot of money, have a lot of opportunity, or have a necessary high direct investment, because this is a basic universal right, in my opinion. We all should know how, as a society collectively, we can obviously put out the highest quality of output possible in our fields, if that's music, if that's entrepreneurship, if that's pure blue collar worker. Imagine the efficiency scale for humans. The more efficient that we are and the more high level that we are and the less constraints that we have, the better existence will be as a collective society. And that involves a lot more than just doing training plans and hiring chefs and doing a ton of testing. It's going to involve making testing super comprehensive and universal and accessible to everybody. It's going to involve finding the right budgets for creating and cultivating meal plans properly for people and putting those into motion, and a lot of things. But anyways, what I was trying to say with raising was, we know that the service has a lot more to do and a lot more to streamline. Like, I recently got the ability to write requisitions and scripts, and that was because I got my sports nutrition diploma a while ago. And it's things like that. It's things like having the ability to write scripts and write protocols in-house under OptiMobility's name that are making the service better. It's not necessarily going to be raising a ton of money or just focusing on fintech. No, sorry, not fintech. We're focusing on tech and omitting all else. The number one goal is the customer experience and the customer journey being as streamlined as possible, as easy to understand as possible, and as digestible as possible in order to find success with health. That's ultimately what we're doing. We want to swallow all this complexity for people and do it properly, so that way, when our clients have to take action, the movements and the decision fatigue and every single thing required on their plate is so high level that they know that in their mind they're not wasting time, and there's no efficient way to do this besides working with us.